Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. Get shots or get out. These are not my words. These are the words of US employers, and they're telling workers across the country because after the full FDA approval of the Pfizer vaccine, more and more employers are now instituting new rules. In fact, Delta Airlines is specifically going to charge unvaccinated employees an additional $200 a month if they are not vaccinated. Now, in case you're thinking, well, with the Affordable Care Act, they can't do this. Remember, as per the Affordable Care Act, individuals with pre-existing conditions could not be denied insurance. Okay, so there's no one telling unvaccinated people or individuals with pre-existing conditions you cannot get insurance, but these individuals are now facing higher premium costs. And I have a feeling that health insurance companies, United, Humana, Aetna, Blue Cross Blue Shield may go ahead and start charging higher premiums to those who are not vaccinated. So what exactly is going on? Well, folks, the vaccine mandates have begun across the country. Now, one day after the Federal Food and Drug Administration approved the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine, institutions in their regions have announced tougher rules. In New York, which by the way is a city driven by finance, Goldman Sachs Group required bankers to prove that they had been vaccinated. In Baton Rouge, Louisiana State University will demand vaccines or negative COVID tests to see a game at Tiger Stadium with a capacity of 102,000 people. CVS Health mandated shots for corporate employees and those working with patients. Chevron Corporation, Hess Corporation, they added requirements for employees on oil platforms in the Gulf of Mexico. Walt Disney announced a deal with roughly 40,000 unionized theme park workers in Florida. Delta Airlines just said that it would charge an additional $200 a month for workers who refuse to protect themselves. And Delta's announcement comes a week after Deutsche Bank told employees that they would only be allowed onto its US trading floors if they were fully vaccinated. Something like this has never happened before in the history of our country. But now, more and more companies are starting to do this after the approval of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine. In fact, President Biden has been encouraging public and private sector employers to crack down. The FDA approval has essentially emboldened a lot of companies to demand that workers either get shots or get out. In fact, in government, 19 states plus the nation's capital in Puerto Rico, are already requiring at least some workers to be vaccinated or undergo regular testing. Ohio State University said in the past 48 hours that faculty, staff members, and all of its almost 60,000 students must be vaccinated by the 15th of October. Here's a chart on your screen from Bloomberg, shot or no shot. A majority of US states have no vaccine mandates for public workers. Let's take a look at the section in blue, which represents a mandate for some state public workers. And the states in yellow have a vaccine mandate for state public workers. And the states in that magenta font have no mandate for public workers. In fact, here's a quote on your screen from Sandra Cruz Quinn, who's a professor in the University of Maryland School of Public Health. She said she expected an avalanche of similar moves among public and private institutions. Companies and universities believe that they have a stronger leg to stand on to mandate vaccines. So folks, let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Now, companies are essentially mandating vaccines. Disney, which by the way is the world's largest entertainment company, they said last month that they would require vaccinations for all non-union employees coming to the office or working at its parks. The company continues to negotiate with other unions. In a statement, Disney said the vaccine is the best way to protect each other. And here's another statement from Quinn, the Maryland professor. Disney is not foolish. They need to make sure they have a healthy workforce so they can maintain their business. Now, I want our viewers and subscribers to know that even before the FDA announcement, many companies had started doing something like this in their major offices. These companies include Facebook, McDonald's Corporation, and Citigroup. They instituted vaccine mandates for office workers. Walmart, which by the way is the largest private employer in the US, even bigger than Amazon, is requiring headquarters and regional staff to get shots by the 4th of October. So you can start to see that this was a trend that was already happening, but now with the FDA announcement, more and more companies now say, hey, we can do this. This trend is going to make things very challenging indeed for the unvaccinated. About 20% of Republicans completely reject the vaccines versus about 5% of Democrats, according to new reporting from Bloomberg. Now, and I'm going to quote Bloomberg here, the opposition has been enabled by social media misinformation, conservative television, and Republican politicians who were loath to lose the anti-vaccination parts of their base. This weekend, even former President Donald Trump was booed during an Alabama rally where he advised attendees to get their shots. He swiftly pivoted to talking about citizens' rights. So what is happening here, folks, is a very, very difficult thing for our country. And President Biden said that he hoped the FDA's move would ease vaccine hesitancy and give companies the confidence to act. Folks, this is a zero-sum game. Fox News, for a fact, I know what they're doing. When the Pfizer vaccine was not approved by the FDA, they said, how can we trust something that's not approved by the FDA? And now that the FDA approved the vaccine, they're like, well, how can we trust a process that's so rushed? So unfortunately, if you've made up your mind about this, I get it. I'm not even trying to change your mind. What I am trying to tell you is the reality of the situation, which is that more and more employers are saying, hey, you have to have the vaccine. Now, let me quickly address a point about HIPAA compliance, because I did read a comment saying, how can they ask? It's HIPAA compliance. Well, unfortunately, this means that the individual asking does not understand HIPAA compliance. HIPAA compliance means that your doctor or your healthcare provider cannot and should not share your information with other people. If your information is leaked by your doctor without your consent, that is considered a HIPAA violation, the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. If someone asks you whether you've been vaccinated or not, whether you choose to answer or not is entirely up to you. If you choose not to answer, well, you choose not to answer. And if you choose to lie about it just so that you can work, well, you're a liar. This has got nothing to do with HIPAA. You deciding whether you want to disclose your personal information has absolutely nothing to do with HIPAA. You could put all your personal information, whether you have a long family history of cancer, this, that, and the other, on Facebook, and that would not be a HIPAA violation because you chose to share it. So if your employer asks you whether you're vaccinated and you say no because you're not vaccinated, well, they now can say, hey, we're not going to let you back. But if you say, yes, I've been vaccinated, when you haven't been vaccinated, that has got zero to do with HIPAA. That, unfortunately, has got a lot more to do with the individual lying to their employer. So that is what is happening here. More and more Americans were using the lack of full FDA approval as a reason to avoid the vaccine. But now President Biden says the moment you've been waiting for has arrived. The Labor Secretary Marty Walsh said that mandates are a crucial tool to making the nation and its economy function again. This is what Marty Walsh said. We have to do everything we can that's within our control to keep people safe. And what's in our control today is masks, physical distancing, washing hands, getting vaccinated. We know the science has told us that this works. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time. Thank you so much for being a viewer and a subscriber. I appreciate you. I work hard on this channel every single day. Please click the like button. Please click subscribe. Please enable notifications. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.